Harris in the background.
And we are live with the Live Reality Games podcast, covering Survivor Boston, the finale episode. My name is Nathan, with you as always, and here joining us is Dustyn. Dustyn, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. The participants we have tonight are super special. We have the final two of season 4, Palamedes. It was an amazing show, amazing gameplay, and I can't wait to dive deep in with these two participants for sure.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the finale? Was it bigger than you imagined? Did it make the season? Did it wrap up the season just as you hoped?
Honestly, that final 3 challenge was so good, and how it was portrayed and the gameplay happening at it, which we'll get into, I'm sure, in this episode. But it was so dynamic to see people's perspective and their pleading their case, and it was just so good. I was really rooting for the third participant at that time from the gameplay, but super happy with the two that we have here. And I think this pretty much rounds out saying that I win our cast predictions, I want to say. I haven't done the numbers exactly.
Do you?
I think so.
We'll see about that. We'll do the math later. But first, let's bring in our guests. First, we have our runner-up, Big H. Big H, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to talk to you and all of the facets of your game, which there were many. And we are also going to bring in our winner of the season of Survivor Boston, Palamedes, whatever you say with it. Here she is, Anissa. Woo!
Hi, thank you for having us.
Anissa, how are you after watching your big win last Thursday?
I'm so sad that it's over. I really looked forward to watching every Thursday, but it was nice to see it wrap up, and I learned a lot about the game that I didn't know when it had ended, so it was a very good wrap up for me last week.
What are some of the things that you learned?
I mean, we'd have to unpack the whole game, but I mean, there was a lot this season that I didn't know was going to happen, and I didn't really remember all of it either. So sometimes when I was watching, I didn't even know who was going to win a competition or who was going to go home. So I was sort of along for the ride, like everyone else, to a degree.
Well, why don't we start at the end and then go back to the beginning right after that? So we have this final tribal council. Did you know you were going to? Did you know where the votes were lying, Anissa, when you were heading into that final 2?
No, I didn't. That's why I was sort of pleading my case at the end. But no, I thought it was pretty up in the air.
How about you, Big H? Did you have any idea where the votes were going?
I definitely thought Anissa had it. But towards the end, she was like, well, I don't know if you guys can tell in the editing, but we're sitting next to each other and we're like, oh no, it's definitely going to be you. It's definitely going to be you. So we both thought it was up in the air, I think.
You two really seemed supportive of each other and really kept egging each other on. Somebody would say one thing and the other person would retort and say something even better. I really thought it was a battle of wits at that point. You both said really strong final and tribal councils and really had us going, especially from some of the questions from the jury. It was kind of hard. So great job. Was there one speech that you were a little bit hesitant of answering, or somebody you weren't necessarily looking forward to getting questioned by?
I was scared of getting questions from Zach, but he surprised me, and I loved his questions. They were amazing. I think I was more surprised by, Maddie, her questions, because she was like, don't interrupt me. I was like, I wasn't planning on it. And Finn also had really...
How about Big H? How did you feel about the questioning? Was there one person you were looking forward to?
I was not looking forward to getting a question from Carly, and I think she shows why. And then I think Zach's question kind of threw me off at the end when he asked, if you're a social player, who do you think for sure is going to vote for you? Because I was looking at a bunch of people that I lied to and stuff, so it was very difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough question, because if you say somebody's name, you might just piss them off enough to not give you their vote.
No, exactly. I was thinking, what if I say someone and I'm losing their vote now because they're definitely thinking I'm playing the wrong game.
Yeah. Did you have any? So with Zach's question, if you were answering honestly now, did you think you had anybody's votes?
I thought I had Jackie. That's the only vote I thought I had guaranteed.
Really, the last person you cut off, you thought you still had Jackie's vote.
Okay, in my heart I did, but I don't know if they were supposed to be looking at us angrily, but it kind of felt like she could have been angry at me too, so it was kind of up in the air at the same time.
I think that's always the look you have going into tribal council. When you are that jury, you're like, oh, I'm going to get them really hard. But at the end, they probably both wanted you to win, so it's nice.
Yeah, especially with Maddie, going back to Anissa's comment about that surprise. I think when you're like an early juror and you're kind of detached from the game, you can like really have, you can kind of like let your bitterness foster and not really, you can just kind of grow detached from the players as people. Did you feel like by the jury not showing up to the various tribal councils, their attendance was abysmal? Did you feel like that affected their final decision at all?
Yeah, I didn't know where they were getting their information from because they seemed to be very in tune with what was happening and the rumors. But yeah, it was weird that they weren't there because I'm pretty sure they were allowed to come to all the tribal councils.
Big H, did you notice anything with that?
No, yeah, it's kind of weird because I don't know if Anissa, you felt the same thing. I kind of forgot how many people we like got kicked out and stuff. So when they walked through, it was kind of like, oh my God, I completely forgot about you. Like, it was like seeing all these people like, oh crap, like, damn.
So let's go rewind just a touch and go to the big decision. So Big H, you hold the final immunity necklace and you have the choice between Jackie and Anissa. It looked like this wasn't a done deal. Did you know in your mind who you were going to choose going into that tribal council?
The night of the competition, I thought like, okay, it's me and Anissa, like we're on deck, like we're fine. But I guess the more I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to say like talking to people about it, you know, like people that are already like were in the game. I was just like, I don't know if that's the right move, and you know, like, ooh, like I want to play to win. And then talking to Jackie too, she really persuaded me. So I really went back and forth until it was literally the last moment because Anissa and I talked really, really fast before that that tribal council, and I was like, Anissa, like I still don't know what I'm gonna do, so it's gonna come down to like the whatever happens when we're talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go back to the beginning of the game. How did you? Let's start with Anissa. Anissa, how did you get involved with Survivor Boston? You were a freshman, so you must have heard about it pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, only because they were doing casting, I'm pretty sure in my dorm building. So I walked by and I saw that there was a sign out. It had like the Survivor logo, and I've seen Survivor before. I'm not a huge fan, so I don't know much about strategy or playing. But they were like asking for resumes and doing auditions, and I did not have my resume printed out. I didn't even know how to hook up to the printer that was right there. But they were like, no, like come in anyway. So they let me come in, and I felt super unprepared because I felt like everyone else auditioning would have a resume, know what Survivor Boston is, and I didn't. But I think Charlie or Jacob told me they just wanted to cast freshmen. So I don't know if they had a bunch of freshmen and some of them didn't make the cut, or they just took all the freshmen. But I felt really unprepared for that, and I think that's why they cast me on the show.
They were like, oh, she has no idea what she's doing. It'll be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much of the...
Anything with competition would be like Anissa's strong suit. Like anything you could win or possibly even play. Like you're going out for it in general, right?
Yeah, I thought that, I mean, I'm competitive, so I thought that would help. But I had never seen Survivor Boston before. I just had a feeling that I would try my best, and I was competitive, but other people were a little bit more on the strategy part going into it than I was.
Anissa, how much of this game was a learning experience for you in terms of how to play Survivor, and how much did you have like pre-planned before you started the game?
The whole thing was a learning experience. I think you caught a snippet of it. Like I've watched Big Brother before, so I sort of know how that stuff works, but I didn't really take anything that I had learned from watching other reality games into this show. It was very much learning on the fly. And I kind of changed my strategy throughout the game based on whatever was happening. So it was all over the place.
Well, we saw you progress, at least answering questions at Tribal. I remember Nathan and I brought up some instances at Tribal Council when you probably didn't say the best Survivor thing. Who feels safe here? Oh, yeah, that's me. Yeah. Do you remember that, Nathan?
I do remember that, and I don't hate it it's a love-hate thing, because on one hand, it's like by saying that you do potentially put yourself as a target of somebody who's sitting comfortably. But if you really do trust your alliance members, and it seemed like you did at that point in the game, then you're kind of showing that you have an awareness of the game that sets you up well for the end.
That is a way to look at it.
Now, I'm curious, Big H, did you have a little bit more of a background on Survivor? Were you kind of wincing when Anissa was saying, or are you pretty new to the game as well?
Literally, all I watched like her was Big Brother. So I was a fan of Big Brother. I thought it was basically the same. And it was a learning experience for me too. I had no agenda. Like, yeah, we just really went with the flow as it was going.
Yeah, so in your initial tribes, you found yourselves as the odd pair out from all the other pairs in your tribe. Did you just connect with each other regardless of that, or did you seek each other out knowing you needed to find a duo to work with?
I don't know. I don't think I probably when we connected, we didn't realize like the exact duo breakdown. But I mean, you saw it in the footage. Like when everyone walked into that room, it was almost like a reunion. Like, oh, we're all back together, and it was not that way for me. So I felt really uncomfortable that first day. So I'm sure maybe we just like shared a glance. Oh, I picked you for the tribe. I think that was it. Didn't I pick you to be on my tribe?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that played into it. But other than that, I don't know.
I remember because we were all kind of talking together in a group, and Anissa and I just kept talking to each other. We've never met before, you know, and we just had like a fluid conversation. And I remember thinking like, oh crap, I have to go talk to other people. Like, I don't want to just talk to her. So I think we just had a good connection.
Yeah, let's bring some people from the chat. We have Charlie saying these two icons are great hosts of the show. We have Kirk saying that clearly the alliance name of Big H and Little A is spelling ha, as in ha, we got to the end and you couldn't stop us. And then we have Cassiel, Big H got me over here sweating. And NJ Zalzman, Big H is fine. The social game he played was great. And our host Jacob, Little A. So this name? Did you ever bring up the name throughout the season? Because we only heard the one conversation about it. Did you refer to it
every time? I felt like every time we filmed it, we were saying it. So then when I didn't see it until the last episode, it really had me questioning whether or not we had even come up with a name, or if the producers hated it or something. Because I don't know, I felt like in the little bit of reality shows that I've watched, they always have the name up so that, you know, America can pick their favorite alliance. But I guess it's not really that good name now that I think about it, but we said it in every video that we did.
No, and I don't think the importance of it's essentially the name. It's just the fact that you two kept it so secret. So even the producers wanted to keep us, the audience, secret of that, a big alliance. I think that was really a huge reveal, and it worked really well. And it just really solidifies, like, Anissa and Big H, your gameplay and how strong it is. And Little A is going to go down in like the books of live reality games, college survivors, so on and so forth, of being one of the strongest pairs. You went at each other on purpose. You talked bad about each other on purpose, but still reconnected. I especially remember there was a challenge and it ended. You guys went against each other and you immediately talked to each other right afterwards. And it was just great gameplay by you two. So
yeah, that's a really tricky line to tread when you are disparaging your alliance members and trying to not lose trust with them at the same time. Did you talk about how you were going to talk about each other so that you wouldn't end up losing trust with each other?
I don't think so. I think it sort of just happened. And then we figured out that like we were both doing the same thing about the other one. But we definitely did just have this mutual trust, because obviously if I go around saying bad things about Big H, like, I want to make sure that people don't actually vote him out. So I'm not sure how we managed to do that, because I feel like there were plenty of times where we both could have blown up each other's game by accident.
Yeah, how about you, Big H?
No, we kind of, yeah, it was kind of just a mutual thing. Like, we just knew we wanted to work together. And remind you, like, we didn't know each other before. So I don't know about if Anissa felt this, but early on, like, I could have been thinking, like, she could be playing me this whole time. You know what I mean? Like, I could get kicked out because of Anissa. You know what I mean? So I wasn't going to go around telling people who I'm talking to. So we just stayed consistent the whole time. So it just got easier, I guess.
Yeah, you go, Dustyn.
Now, walking into the room, you two aren't as familiar with Survivor. What are your thoughts seeing all these like people gathered around? I know you said it was kind of like walking to a reunion where people knew each other. Did that really make you feel like an outcast or something? Or did that persevere and you were like, oh, I got to make friends with these people. I got to be a little bit over the top. Big H?
I definitely thought I had to be over the top. I was so nervous, but I was like, I just have to act like I'm confident and just be in conversations with everyone. And I think that's basically what I did. I just tried to connect with as many people as I could that day.
I feel like I did the opposite. I think I was so nervous looking back at the footage, because I mean, I really didn't know anyone. It's not even like I had seen them in passing, like in school. Like, I really didn't know anyone. And so I felt like my strategy was to not talk to as many people or try and be forgettable. Yeah, I was trying to be forgettable on that first day so that people wouldn't remember my name to try and vote me out later, or like I didn't look like a target. So I was trying to be very low key that day.
And I think that worked to your favor. Even Big H played it up. Oh, I think it was Anissa, right? Jackie, right? Is that the name? Anissa. Yeah, I talked to Anissa.
Big H, how many times do you mispronounce her name?
So many times, but like my friends are watching from home and they're like, did you actually not know her name? And I'm like, no, I knew her name, but I want to throw them off a little.
No, that's really smart, because it's like the little things that add up, and I think you really cued in on that quickly. Is how you is how to play dumb in a way that's potentially believable, and names are one of those things, especially when it's early on. And I think you did that really well. Since you're both Big Brother fans, what from Big Brother were you trying to take into the game? What, if anything, strategy-wise?
I feel like the one thing that I took was you have to win competitions in order to be safe, because you really can't trust anyone. And so, like, even if you try and have the best social game or the best strategy, like, if the wrong person wins the competition, then it doesn't really matter because they have power. So there's like the competitive aspect. And just like seeing all the challenges they did, I wanted to be competitive in that way.
I guess for me, I always just wanted to make sure there was a bigger threat, and to always be on the majority side of the numbers.
To have the bigger threat. She's sitting right next to you.
Exactly.
I did not come, my plan was not to be a threat. So I had to figure out how to work with that once that became a reality.
I mean, it took a minute before you got there. I mean, it took until close to the merge before you really showed yourself as like a top player. But before we got there, we had an infamous tribal council where the one and only Brady got sent home. And you had been part of a 5-person alliance. And what was a part of that? How did that alliance get formed, and how did that disintegrate so quickly?
An alliance with Brady?
Yeah, Brady made a group message. Remember, Big H wasn't even included in that.
I never thought that I was in an alliance with Brady. Well, it turns out that he was very genuine about being in an alliance with me. I did not know that. He thought that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Big H.
I was just gonna say, I don't even know how that got formed, but luckily Anissa was able to pull me through in that thing, because that really changed the whole game for me.
I mean, Brady connected really with you at first too. He told you about the idol, and you really connected him, even by saying a huge lie that never really came back to hurt you in the game. But I felt like it could have been foreshadowing. Do you feel bad about that lie you told? about swearing on your brother's life or something?
I don't really feel bad, but like this is something I wish I could have recorded, guys. Brady showed up to my room, like my dorm room, the following day of tribal council. Like pounding on my door, like, and then I opened the door and he was like, "Idol Bros, huh?" And I was like, "Whoa." So maybe I felt bad to a degree, but he kind of scared me, so I don't feel bad anymore.
Brady's a very intense player for sure.
Yeah, he was the first of a few eliminations where it seemed like your strategy was to split up the pairs. And so you split up the pair of Brady and Hallie. And then you split up the pair of Anthony and Jess. Now, at what point did that become your strategy? And how did that play into the Jess elimination in particular?
Big H, I feel like you're the one who identified the pairs and wanted to go after them. I thought it was important to go after pairs, but I feel like my strategy was more to go off of the strong players, and the strong players were in pairs. I mean, we were all in pairs, but I felt like I more wanted to target the strong players or the people who I felt I couldn't trust, because I felt Katai had a strong bond, and I wanted to have that bond with them, but I didn't want to have someone in that bond that might stab me in the back later.
And I think a lot of the times it was also convenient too. Like Brady was definitely like our doing, but the Jess vote, like they weren't there that week. So it was kind of easier with that. And like Anissa and I were kind of getting the job done. It was like a check. And also, and I feel like Jess and Anissa didn't really have they weren't really talking game wise. So I was fine with getting Jess out because they would have been very dangerous during merge.
Yeah. Did you ever have? So you were close with Anthony, so that seemed like that was a move because you could pull. Did you think you could pull Anthony in after that?
Definitely, because Anthony always thought I was his closest ally. Like he would always tell me, "I don't trust Jess and stuff," and he always thought I was his too. So it was kind of perfect for me to have these two, like Anissa and Anthony. But also Anissa and Anthony always talked too.
Oh, that's something we didn't see a ton. Anissa and Anthony working together. How was that relationship?
I love Anthony. I loved working with him. Big H, I always thought that he was closer to Big H than he was with me. And usually I think the three of us would meet together, but that was not a dig against Anthony, because I actually didn't meet with that many people early on, just me by myself. I kind of got information from Big H and Anthony. So yeah, no, I love working with Anthony. I wish he would have made merge.
Speaking of that, what if you could instantly put somebody into merge to be on that jury? Who do you think would have voted for you? Anissa, you thinking Anthony by chance?
No, I think he would have voted for Big H.
Who would you want to see from pre-merge to be on jury? And hopefully vote for you, of course.
I think Austin would have voted for me.
Okay. Big H?
Definitely Anthony. I would definitely want Anthony. Yeah.
Good deal. So then we get to our swap, and y'all are put on different tribes. So Anissa, you're put on the tribe that never goes to tribal council, and Big H, you are in the minority on a tribe alongside Austin and Anthony. And let's go to Big H first. What was your strategy going into that swap? And were you planning on trying to really save anybody else, or was it just pure self-preservation at that point?
It was all self-preservation. Like at that point, I thought I was done for. I thought I was a bigger threat earlier in the game than I was. So I thought for sure I was going to go the first week. I always thought that the week Anthony left, I thought I was going to go. But no one clearly ever saw me as a threat. So the whole time I was just really trying to save myself. I'm trying to be nice to people, trying to do anything I can.
Yeah, you really seemed to that was the time you were really under the radar and beating the radar, and you really your name didn't even come up until you were like the last person there, and then the merge happened, which is really impressive because it's a really hard thing to do, especially if you're the challenge person early on. Did you have any intention of how to counteract the challenge threat that you were bringing to the tribal challenges in approaching the merge?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, how did you mitigate your threat level when it came to challenges?
I guess I never really like I always gave my all for competitions, and I felt like they kind of needed me in a sense for competitions, even though like we lost everyone. But I also didn't really reach out to people as much as Anthony did on that tribe. And because of that, I think people thought that I just wasn't in the game. Like I feel like people always thought my head wasn't in the game, and I kind of let them think that in a way. Because you're gonna want to keep someone around that their head's isn't like they're not in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And speaking of one of those challenges, it was really interesting to see Anissa and Big H square off in one of them. It was when you were trying to balance the thing on your hand. Like, Anissa, how is the feeling going against Big H? I know you kind of like poked fun at it, but this one was for a point. Like, your team could have gone to tribal. You tried your best. What's going on?
Yeah, we were both in terrible spots because we were both going to be in danger if the other one went to tribal. But I feel like in the moment we weren't thinking through that. Like we're both competitive, and I think we both wanted to win. So in no way did I let him win that one. Like that was all him. Yeah, but it was the producers knew we were working together, so obviously they had to have us go against each other. But we couldn't show any signs that we were working together, and I think we did a good job because. Like if we looked at each other funny or laughed, like they might have picked up on it. So I think we did a good job during that challenge. But yeah, that was all Big H.
So Anissa, during that swap, where were you on your tribe, and how did you feel like you would have navigated a tribal council had you gone to one?
It would have been really hard. I think I was in a very bad spot on my swap tribe. I think one positive was that I could form relationships with Marlon and Carly and work with them a little bit. And I had Hallie, so I got to work with her too. And I think Jackie was on the team too. So I guess I was in a good spot. I just didn't like the fact that Zach and Anna were there because I never trusted them, and I knew that they didn't trust me. And I didn't know if they were going to work with Carly and Marlon. So I very much thought that like there was a very good chance that they would all team up on me or something because I didn't know what their dynamics were, but I did not like my swap tribe.
I'm wondering, from that swap tribe, did you really form a bond with, as you said, Marley? Were you kind of the one to instigate Big H into this and kind of make like a fourth person alliance with that?
I think so. I feel like they more came to me. I don't know if I reached out to them about wanting to work with them. I think Carly reached out to me, and then Marlon showed up. Which when it happened, I was like, I don't know if I want to be here. But I did want to be there, and it ended up being fine. But they definitely like welcomed me into that relationship, and I'm glad they did because I liked working with them when we did. And then it was nice to be able to bring Big H in. Although I think Carly might have brought Big H in, and I acted like I wasn't part of it. But it was very good that I got to connect with them. So I guess that's a positive of the swap tribe is that they sort of got to know me better because a lot of people in the other tribe never really worked with me, but sort of had an agenda against me. So I was glad to know that Marley did not think that way.
Big H, who didn't talk bad about Anissa? Like, a lot of people were saying Anissa's a threat. Did anybody was like, oh, Anissa's not that bad, we should keep Anissa? Or was there a target all the time?
I don't think Anthony ever talked bad about Anissa to me, and I don't think Carly did either, or Marlon. But everyone else ran their mouth.
Oh, that's funny. So I want to know Anissa particularly, because by this point, it seemed like you had a really, let's say, interesting relationship with Hallie, and how you were able to bring her along for votes and clue her in strategically. When did that really form for you, and how did that evolve over the course of the game?
I liked Hallie from the beginning, and I'm pretty sure there's footage of me saying, like, I love Hallie, I love working with her. The Brady vote, I thought she knew we were voting Brady, and then I felt bad when she didn't know. I felt like I genuinely wanted to connect with Hallie every week and work with her. Like, I knew that she wasn't the most strategic player, and she kind of had some hesitation as to whether or not she wanted to be there, but I really did like Hallie, and it did make me feel bad when she got to a point where she thought we just wanted her along for the vote, because she did feel that way towards the end. And to a degree, like, yes, but also I liked working with Hallie, and Yeah, I think our relationship, I thought it was good, and I hope that she would feel the same way. She did like throw me a vote every now and then, which is a little weird, but honestly kind of expected. But I thought that we had a good relationship, and I was probably one of the only people on the cast that actually liked Hallie being there. I think a lot of people wanted to send her home.
Was she just your pocket vote in some ways? Because it seemed like you just had a control over her vote throughout the entire game.
I still thought she was unpredictable. So I didn't, even though I was like, yeah, like I'll talk to Hallie, I think she'll vote with us. Obviously, like some part of me was like, she might quit, she might vote for me, she might vote for Big H. Like it was still sort of a wild card. So it was like a pocket vote, but also still a wild card. And I didn't think that, I thought she might have been closer to Jackie than she was with me. So I know it might look like it was me and Hallie, but I didn't really know if she felt the same way about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dustyn, you go.
Yeah, I was going to side with Anissa on this one. It looked, at least from the edit, and we haven't talked to Jackie or Hallie yet, but I'm really interested to see, because it seemed like Jackie and Hallie were kind of working more strongly together than Anissa and Hallie, especially those rogue votes that you did receive, Anissa, from Hallie at the time, too. So I'm super excited to see Jackie, Hallie, and Marlon too when your time comes. So I'm super excited. That was one of my questions, actually, to see how close Jackie and Hallie were working together. So
yeah, so then we come to the merge, and all chaos ensues. You just lost Anthony, and you came together as a tribe, and your numbers aren't looking good for your original tribe, because it's just you two, Jackie, and Hallie, and it looks like the vote's gonna go on Hallie. How did this flip around? What happened with Finn? What happened to make this crazy tie vote? Even with a throne vote on Zach.
So I think going into that challenge, or maybe it was like the episode before, I think I was the target that week, and I knew that. So I very much thought that I was going to go home once we hit merge, because I didn't really have anything to protect myself, and we were down in numbers by a lot. So I think the plan, I don't know what the plan would have been if I didn't have immunity, because I think I would have gone home. But when Finn reached out to talk to me, I was sort of able to figure out that he had some hesitation about having Maddie on his team. And like I had to jump on that then and there, because even though I was safe that week, there was very little chance that we'd be able to get anyone from Fatia out unless someone flipped. And so once Finn showed signs of flipping, we had to go with it.
Big H, how about you from your perspective?
Anissa came through is what happened. Thank God she made that move, because it changed the entire game for all of Old Katai. I think she's right when she said if she didn't have immunity, she would have gotten kicked off, and then they would have just plucked us off one by one. But that really changed everything for us.
And really the opposite happened. The four of you took down 7 other people on the other tribe, essentially. Even though you had made some bonds, you've connected with some people like Marley, for sure. But really, you all just like took names, like right down the list. Big H, was that always the plan, going after the other tribe, or was it just kind of like how it worked out? You had to save your 4, and that's just kind of how it worked.
I think we always had Marley on one hand, and we always had Old Katai. So in the beginning of merge, it was kind of like we were playing with both of them, but we never really decided who our final 4 was going to be. But I just kept telling Anissa, like, as the game went on, I don't think a person from Old Fatia can sit at tribal council if it's with one of us, because I think they'll just be bitter and vote for them. So I think that's when we started leaning more towards, okay, we'll stick with Old Katai.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that. With Jackie in particular, I'm interested in what your perspective was at that merge vote, after that merge vote, because she doesn't vote with you. Did you have any clue that she didn't vote with you? And if you found out, what was your reaction?
For the people listening to the podcast at home, Anissa and Big H had big head nods saying, no, we had no idea Jackie was not with us anymore. Anissa, you were pretty adamant about knowing the vote. Like, why did you believe Jackie so much, I guess?
She showed no signs of being in the middle. And I guess towards the end, I knew that she was, obviously, like, it was more obvious, but she went over to the middle way earlier than I thought she did. And I was so shocked when I saw that watching the episodes, and it made that vote make so much sense because I could not do the math. I didn't understand how that could have been possible. And she never like confessed to doing that. So I didn't even suspect it of her. So that's like good on her part. I never even thought for a second that she could have flipped that early. And then I made things confusing with my weird vote to Zach, but I was the one who did that, and I still couldn't figure out what happened. So it was a very confusing week, and it just ended up hurting Finn. So
yeah, so you didn't think Finn voted with you then, and is that what led to his downfall then?
Yeah, I thought he lied to us. I thought he didn't vote with us, so then I didn't want to keep him around, but obviously he did. But yeah, I just put him in a terrible spot.
Man, even after you wore your white jacket, you were like, all right, this is going to work. It worked, and you still didn't believe him. So
yeah, I mean, he went right back to Fatia.
Yeah.
So even though he did, it's not like he was trying to stay with us. I think he got nervous that he did that. But yeah, he immediately went back, so it almost didn't matter.
Big H, it seemed like you were really bonded a little bit more with Jackie than Anissa was. Did you ever feel like Jackie was flip-flopping between the votes, or?
I thought I could sense her talking to Zach and Anna more because she told me like, oh, like these are good people to work with, and I was like, oh, like they're on the opposite side. So I kind of thought, I think I said in one of my confessionals before, like I think we're going different ways. But I would have never suspected, like Anissa said, like for her to flip so early on. I learned when I watched it, so it was crazy.
Yeah, so we get to the Swatha vote, and it seemed like after you vote out Finn, then you're really starting to regain. You're starting to take over the numbers here because you have Carly and Marlon, and you have Jackie potentially on your side, and it looks like that you have 6 versus 3 at this vote. And it's not looking good. And then Zach pulls out his idol. Your votes are going to Zach, and Zach pulls out his idol. Anissa, you pull a fast one there. What's going through your head?
Oh yeah, I don't think it was a fast one, but I mean, it obviously like it looks like I came at Zach at every single tribal, but I was just trying to understand like what he was doing because to me that didn't make any sense. So I was trying to analyze it in the moment, and when he did that, I knew that someone from my side was going to go home. So him doing it before the vote, I was like, well, obviously we'll just switch the vote. So I like tapped everyone on the back, and like if I wasn't sitting in the back, that would not have happened. Like I was sitting in the perfect spot where I could like see everyone. Swatha couldn't see me. Zach was in front of me, and we all just randomly pick our seats. So that there was a lot of luck involved. But Anna could have also blown that up by saying that she heard me. So I don't know. But it seemed like the logical thing to do. Like, why just sit back and let Zach take over the vote? Like, he gave us time to come up with a plan.
I mean, I agree with you. It was a boneheaded move. But I told him as much during our interview. But I'm especially impressed because you, having not seen Survivor, had the gall to make a move during Tribal, even though you hadn't seen that happen. Because I assumed that you had seen that in the Survivor episode, and that was your inspiration. But you said you'd never seen the episode.
Yeah, I just didn't want someone from my side to go home because of that. So, and I don't even know if I thought it was gonna. No, I think I did think it was gonna work. Once I did it, like even before the vote, I was like, I made eye contact with everyone. If they wanted to vote out Zach, then they would want to vote out Swatha. And if they didn't do that, then it might have been them. So I felt like I was also doing people a favor.
It shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it did, and it makes it all the more amazing.
And you mentioned that everyone kind of picked random seats. That was the one time Swatha was like, I need this seat right here for that idol. Yeah.
I didn't put the idol like in where I was sitting or in the front. That would have been funny, but
now,
I didn't know she was doing that. I didn't know that we voted her off with an idol. I don't know if Big H, if you knew that, but I didn't know it was that dramatic until I watched the episode.
Oh, wow. When you try to do your cover, you say, you mouth the name Swatha to Hallie, and then you say, Hallie, I love you. Do you think that worked at all?
a little bit. I mean, it's not like it didn't work. But I think Anna seems to have known that I said Swetha, but I don't know. Then I also said I love you, and I think that threw Anna off. It might have made her second guess whether or not I said Swetha. So I think it did work.
And that was probably one of my favorite confessionals. You were like, I mouthed it to everyone, but Hallie just couldn't understand, so I had to say it.
I was closest to Hallie. Like, that should have been the yeah.
We talked about Zach's idol a little bit. Can we back up and talk about your idol? This random superpower, like random thing you created.
The legacy idol.
Yes, the legacy advantage. Well, that was a hard Temple of Risk, and I wasn't happy when I figured out that it wasn't actually. I like almost forget what it actually was. I think
it was not activated yet.
Right? No, I had to. It was an extra vote at 2 tribal councils, or it was immunity. But like, it didn't start working until tribal 8, 7, and 6. And to me, at that point, like, I could have gone home the next week. I was like, I might not even make it to tribal council 8. So I think it was like on the spot, like in the same video that I was reading what the idol meant. I was like, actually, I'm gonna lie about it, and here's the plan. But I wanted people to not vote me out. I wanted to make it so that it wouldn't. I'm a threat because I have this idol, but I didn't want people to vote me off because of it. So I think I included a bunch of things like I have to do it after the votes, and I can't like give it to people, or I like tried to downplay it, even though like you mentioned it was kind of a crazy idol and it was really powerful. But I just like flipped it. It was like when it was supposed to end its power, that's when it started. Or I don't even know, but I think it worked out and people seemed to believe it. I think because I told them the day after, like right before a competition. So Big H was the only one who actually knew that wasn't true.
That was going to be my follow-up. I was like, did you tell Big H? Did you not tell? Like, there has to be some kind of secrets between the two of you.
I don't know if he thought about it or if he thought it was a good lie, because he kind of had to keep it under wraps too.
Well, it wasn't a good lie, I'll tell you that. And that's why Zach called you out. I mean, he really had you pinned there. And if you had seen Survivor, you would be able to come up with a more evolved version of it. I mean, it was a really good instinctual idea. I mean, I feel like it was a Tony Vlacho's move. It's, Survivor reference, that you made up your own rules for your idol and made it to where people really couldn't target you, and that's genius. But yeah, what Zach was like, this doesn't actually make sense if you've seen a couple seasons of recent Survivor, and that's where it was like, oh, is somebody actually gonna like put all this together and call her out? And it seemed like Zach was trying to, but no one was buying him.
I didn't even listen to him. I'm glad they didn't, but like his case made a lot of sense. And if people already thought I was a threat, I don't know why people seem to just be like, oh, it's okay. Like they seem to be so concerned with whatever else is happening that like I completely fell off the radar after like making that weird lie. So I don't know, it was risky. And I didn't really feel that safe with it because it's not like it could have even helped me if I was in danger.
You even like brought up the option of giving your immunity to like Big H and being like, oh, I have this idol, so I could do it. So I'm so glad you did not, because had you given away, you probably would have been voted out. So
I want to bring in a couple chat comments here. We have Austin. Anissa, you look literally so amazing.
Thank you, Austin.
We have Charlie. Y'all need to chill with the Big H thirsting.
No.
And Brian Roke. Gotta say, all 4 of your rooms' aesthetics are amazing. Thank you, Brian. We'll take that compliment. Big H, what was your view of advantages and idols? How did you try to navigate that? You didn't end up getting any. Did you feel like you needed them for your game?
It would have been nice to have one, definitely, but like I said, like I had never watched Survivor before, so like I didn't understand like how big of a deal it is to have an idol, you know what I mean? And how many moves you can make with an idol. So like I searched once with Anthony, like we went searching. The one Anissa got, me and Anthony were in a graveyard searching because we got this weird clue. So we were like digging in an actual graveyard looking around. Meanwhile, it was literally in a cafe. And then I really looked for the other one too that I got the clue to, but Zach just got it right before I went to look.
So you made it through either way. So hey, something worked for you, and I think your social game was a big part of that. And one of those close connections that you burned was Carly. And following the Swatha vote, you decide to initiate this move against Carly, even though she was totally in your numbers. You still had Zach and Anna there. What was your thought process behind that? Did you just not trust her? Or were you threatened by her?
Actually, the finale reminded me of a conversation I had with Jackie, because usually sometimes with like some of the players, like you just see them in passing and you just do like quick gameplay. Emerson's really small, so it's like you see someone in the DH, the dining hall, or like anywhere on campus, you like do quick talking and stuff. And I remember I kept wanting to think, like, Jackie always thought Anissa was a big threat, you know, and we should get rid of Anissa. But they were my two closest allies and stuff, so I really had to keep them on good terms. And that was the one thing Jackie said. Like, I forgot who it was. Like, she'd either vote Zach or Swatha if Carly was going the next week. So I had to keep that promise with her. But also, it was very true that Marley was the last other couple there. And Carly even said in her interview she was thinking about switching too, because I think Zach and her could have easily like shifted the game.
Yeah, I don't know if she would have. It seemed like she was very loyal to y'all. Anissa, what was your take on Carly?
No, honestly, I didn't know how loyal Carly was. I did not want her to go home that week, but when Big H brought it up, like, I think like Carly grilled me in tribal for like, I didn't say anything. Like, I didn't try and make that not happen. I really like Carly, and like I think she's amazing. But I did like lie to her and Marlon like pretty badly early on by saying Anna actually found that idol, even though Carly literally saw me walk out of the building like immediately after finding it. I convinced her that it was actually Anna, but I also wasn't sure how that would hold up, or like if that would ever blow up in my face. So I was sort of fine with getting rid of Carly, because I was a little nervous about that lie, because I didn't think it was that great, and I didn't know if she would connect with Anna and then figure out that it was actually me. So yeah, I didn't know she was that loyal to us at the time.
I think it was the pacer test. I think you were the final four in the pacer test, and I had a moment. I was like, if this is the final four, I am super excited with how the season plays out. And it didn't go too wrong. Like, you all were power players and you had a great time. And I'm happy, of course, with the whole season and how it turned out. But at that moment, I was like, yes, this is final four. These two are going to work together. And it wasn't the case. And I was super surprised, too, in the confessional of Big H. You really instigated that. And like you said, Anissa, you weren't like a fan of that vote. So was that usually how it went down, Big H? Did you normally throw out the names first, or Anissa, or was it kind of, you were shaking your head, Big H? No?
I think we kind of just talked about it. I think, I don't know. I think, Anissa, I think you were gone that week or something for softball. And I think like we had to create some gameplay really fast. And I kind of just said Carly and went with it. And I don't think Anissa had enough time to really, she couldn't do anything at that moment, because I probably told her the day of tribal, like, this is what I'm voting, this is what Hallie's voting, this is what Jackie's voting. So there's not much like Anissa could have done.
Yeah, I feel like I was a little removed from some of those votes. Like in the early merge, I was just sort of going along with the flow. Like, as long as it wasn't me or someone from my team, I really could be any of them. Like, they'll just be the next on the next week. As long as it wasn't someone from Katai, I was usually fine with the vote.
Big H, were you the mover and shaker of the votes then?
I wouldn't say. I think Anissa. I literally think it was just me and Anissa talking about it.
We usually agreed on who to go. I think, yeah, like, it wouldn't have been a disagreement. Like, if Big H said Carly, I wouldn't have been like, no. And like, I don't think we ever would have fought about who was going home. We would just both say why we think the other one should go home, and then come up with the best plan from there. It was a team effort. I don't think there was ever a week where like we had to convince each other that like we really had to get someone home.
But if anything came down to a tie and you couldn't resolve it, Anissa, you were the president of the company after all, right?
I was.
Your little extra information. Can you explain that? What does president of the company mean and why you went with that?
Yeah, I think that's a meme out there. I think it was at the time that I picked it. And it just means that you're the CEO, like you're the president of the company. And I felt like it would be good to have that lower third because people in the beginning would be like, why would she think that about herself? And then it would be like the meme, like obviously I'm not the president of the company. Then it would be like full circle at the end.
I mean, you came to prove it by the end of the game. And you getting out Carly, I think, was smart because I think Carly is top 5, 4, 3 strategist of this season, and I assumed it was because you recognize that, but it does make sense that you were trying to keep numbers in the right place. That's smart alliance maneuvering. But then we get to the final stand of Zach and Anna. And their attempts to use their idol to ward off votes. And Anna comes to you, Anissa, pleading that Zach and her aren't close. What did you believe her?
Yeah, that was a bad moment for me. I totally believed her. I was like, finally, like you realize that like you shouldn't be working with Zach. Like I didn't really, because I mean, in the beginning, they didn't really welcome Anna in the first place. So I was like, they're definitely using her because she's a freshman. She's going to go along with whatever they have to say. And so I sort of felt like the freshman connection to Anna, even though we didn't really strategize together. And so it made me so mad to find out that they were doing that to her and sort of just messing up her gameplay. And I fell for it. Like I thought that they were working together, and then that's why I was so explosive and tribal when he gave the idol to Anna, because that's when I realized that Anna had been lying to me. And then it was like a done deal from there. Like I didn't want either of them in the game anymore because I also knew that I was their biggest target. So it was mutual for sure, but she almost got me.
You brought it up a little bit. You said that they were kind of taking the freshmen for granted. Jess made a comment saying that the freshmen are just more susceptible. Did you feel that as well, or was that something you really had to prove and step up being a freshman yourself, Anissa?
I think I used it to my advantage. That was kind of like I wasn't susceptible, but I think there were definitely people on the cast that thought I was, and I think that helped me in the beginning. Towards the end, I don't think anyone cared what grade anyone was in, but it helped me in the beginning for sure.
Well, I think that was Dustyn and mine's view of you pre-season. I think we thought, Anissa, that you were going to be a follower this season, a bit quiet. And granted, we were making our pre-season predictions based off of your 1-minute cast interview.
And that wonderful talent, we found out that you can recite the alphabet backwards. So that was the one key factor we went with. So
yeah. So you guys have a lot to go off of, and the alphabet thing obviously didn't help me at all. But yeah, I think I didn't want to. I wanted to stay under the radar. I guess it's good that I didn't, but I was happy doing that in the beginning.
yeah, I think I really said like Jackie would take like swing of that and kind of take control and like swoop you under. So it's interesting to see how that kind of worked out, that you worked together, but not really as I imagined from that video. So
yeah, and you really surpassed our expectations in terms of how proactive you were in the game. Big H, you did too. I put you as like going out at the merge, and you made it much farther. Were much proactive strategically than I thought you would be, and that was very impressive. So we get to this Anna vote, and we have basically 3 people getting votes that round. I think 3 people ended up getting votes. It was Anna, and then there was a split vote onto Marlon, and then Anna and Zach were. I can't remember who they were voting for exactly. I feel like it was Anissa maybe or Big H. One of the.
I think it was me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason, Anna didn't play her idol. But what was your thinking going into that vote? You have an interesting split there, where it kind of seems like it was intricately organized.
Yeah, it had to be. And at first, it was Big H's idea to split the votes. Obviously, he wanted to split the votes on Zach and Anna. And luckily, we caught that really quick right before tribal because we were going to split the votes on Zach and Anna, which we couldn't do because Zach had immunity. And so then it was like, but that, like, it wasn't that big of a deal because the Zach plan still had the split vote thing in there in case there was an idol at play, which we really thought there was going to be. So then we just had to make Zach, the Zach vote be Marlon. I think Big H wanted it to be Marlon because at that time, like, Jackie wasn't on the table.
Well, at first I wanted it to be Zach, but thank God Jacob came through during that confessional. I don't know what was going through our heads when we thought like we could have done that.
Well, the real impressive thing is that you got Jackie to vote with you that round because it really, I think it would have been advantageous for her to not vote with you and to vote with Zach and Anna to take out Marlon, but she didn't. And so, what was your conversation with Jackie like that round?
I think it was an easy, like it was easy to convince her because she was voting for Marlon and she never really like talked to him ever. So she was fine with him going home. She was always like hesitant to vote Anna out, but she'd rather have me in the game than Marlon. So I think it was pretty easy to convince her.
Okay, so she knew that Marlon wasn't the main target, though?
Yeah.
But she didn't want to be the one to vote for the person going home.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, like she didn't want her name to be on that vote. So, and we knew that, so we assigned her that vote. Like, not assigned her, but like, even though
president of the company.
Like, she knew Anna was going to go home in that plan, but like, she didn't want to be the one to put the vote on Anna, which is an interesting strategy, but that's how we kind of knew that the vote was going to work that way.
Anissa, were you the boss?
Now I'm coming across like that, but I didn't think that. Also, we didn't know what the idol situation was. I didn't know that we voted off Anna. Did Anna have an idol? I think Anna had
she
the
had
idol.
an idol, and she didn't play it.
But then I still thought Zach had it. Like, we didn't really know for sure that we voted off Anna with an idol. We weren't sure that we voted off Swetha with an idol, but we knew that there were all these idols at play. So honestly, like, I didn't know that she had it when she left, and I thought that Zach might have still had it.
Did you find out about the idol afterwards for the final 6 with Zach, or did he? Because it seemed like he could have played it off then, right? That he had it.
Yeah, I don't think he thought that. We thought he had an idol, but I'm pretty sure I have a confessional where I say like Zach might have an idol. I don't know. We didn't know for sure where all of their idols were because it was so confusing because they kept giving them to each other at random times. And so all like the public displays of like giving it, I'd assume that there were also like ones we weren't seeing. So it was hard to get them out because I thought that they would just use all their idols until the end.
Well, kind of speaking about confessionals, not being theater majors, like you were in the minority of this cast, the two of you. How was it just expressing your feelings to a camera? Did you get used to it? Was it kind of natural? Big H, you're shaking your head. This is not your thing.
I think first of all, I was super awkward at first. It's awkward, you know, like I've never talked to a camera like that before. But also, you have to remember, like, we're filling in these confessionals like whenever we have a chance during the day. So like it might be like I come from class, I eat lunch, I go do a confessional for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to the gym. So it's like it's literally in the middle of the day. They're asking you questions about the game, and you're like, so yeah, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, and I think you probably noticed it, but we didn't have the best like individual interviews where like we'd film ourselves. Whereas like other people, like they literally did such a good job of like where to set the camera, and like they knew that they had to like do this like extra footage so that their edits would make sense. Like I don't think we really did anything extra with the camera. Like we did what we had to do, and then like we thought that was it. I also felt like my interviews were awkward compared to the other members of the cast.
Big H, you were an economics major, right?
No.
Or something. Oh gosh, what's your major?
Writing, wasn't it?
I'm a screenwriting major.
Yeah, screenwriting major. Okay, how did that help you out in the game?
Literally, I don't think at all.
Anissa, you said in your preseason interview that your journalism major was going to help you connect with people. Did it make a difference?
It did, Nathan, because I think I'm friendly, so I was able to talk to people, and also I think the way I said get information out of people sounded a little weird, but it just means that if I'm talking to someone and having a conversation with them and like I want to know something, like let's say I ask it the first time and they don't answer it, like I still know in my head I want to know that, so maybe I'll like rephrase the question and ask it later or something like that. But I think it helps me with my conversations with everyone. It's an interview with everyone. We were asking each other questions, so I felt like I was just interviewing everyone, and it might not have been obvious to them, but usually like my conversations were pretty intentional, and that's why I didn't have a lot of them.
Yeah, an interview for your company where you're the president. They became your employees, right?
No.
That means Big H, you're the vice president at least. So
I'm fine with that.
So you vote out Zach, and then you're left with your final five. And I think this is where the game gets really interesting, particularly for you, Big H, because you're left with Marlon, and then your original four Fatia members, and really this is. I felt like it was a battle between Marlon and Jackie at that final five. Was it going to be Anissa's extra person or Big H's extra person to survive? Is that how y'all viewed it?
In a sense, and a little bit, yeah.
I didn't view it like that at the time.
How did you view it?
Well, maybe I wasn't viewing it because I wasn't really Big H. You were so like calculated to know like who was going to take you to the final two. And you put yourself in a great position where honestly anyone would have taken you to the final two, like once Marlon went home. And I don't think I was thinking that far. I wasn't like, oh, I want to keep Marlon because if he won this, he would take me. I was not thinking that far in advance. I was thinking just like who would win in general. And I thought that I didn't think Marlon would win in general. So, and I thought Jackie had such a great shot at winning. So I was just like, I had like my eye was set on like the final two and who I think would win, but like all the steps leading up to that, I wasn't really thinking through.
Big H, did you have any ideas to get rid of anyone other than Marlon at that vote, or was that locked in?
I feel like that was pretty locked in. I thought it was such a power move to have the final four tie when we had 7 for Tia coming in for merge. So I feel like we had to stick through with that.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't think, like, I wasn't thinking about if I could beat Marlon or not, I guess. I just thought that if worst comes to worst, like, let's say Anissa and I turned on each other, final 5 or final 4, he would always be aligned with Anissa because they talked more. Whereas Jackie was always more with me.
So I have a fan theory. I thought you should have got rid of Anissa at final 5 if you wanted to win. I think that was the time to do it. Then
didn't Anissa win? I think Anissa won immunity.
Maybe she did.
Final 5.
I promise you, it crossed my mind a few times, but Anissa, she would win, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah, okay. Then you should have got rid of Hallie.
No, yeah, Anissa did win because Jackie almost won because the final 5 it was like a temple of risk, and Jackie was like, "This is the one time I can beat Anissa," and then nope.
And Big H, you risked it for the biscuit and you lost.
Yes.
That was a tough challenge. Jackie had such a good shot at winning, and that would have changed so much because I think I would have gone home. Any week that I didn't win immunity, I think I would have gone home.
And especially because you didn't have your little fake out idol thing going on. So
Big H, would you have turned on Anissa at final 5 if she lost immunity?
I think so.
Oh,
sorry,
yes!
Anissa.
Good, I'd love to hear it.
Because it would be.
I couldn't have done that.
Sorry, Anissa. It would have been me, Jackie, Hallie, so we would automatically have the votes. As long as Marlon didn't win anything, like, we're still set. Sorry, Anissa. Just being honest.
This is a coup in the company that you kept from happening. Okay, I want to rewind one competition though, because I have a question about that counting competition, the immunity in the final 6 with Zach. That I want to say Anissa, you ended up winning, where you had to count things and then put it add them all up, and nobody could figure out what you were counting or what the numbers were. I was just like, are these people in college even? I'm questioning everything. I know it's
They're not
Emerson.
economics. No,
Yeah.
not economics. Screenwriting and journalism. So
I think it's mentioned like multiple times.
What was happening?
There's not a math major at Emerson, just so you know. So honestly, like that was hard for all of us in general. But I don't know if you could tell how hard it was to count the things because it wasn't just like 20 paper clips. They were like in a pile. So you had to sort of have like some spatial awareness as to whether or not like it was one paper clip on top of another, like two. Like it wasn't that easy. And then the rooms weren't close. So maybe you knew the number when you were in the room, but then when you ran back and like tripped and ran into Zach and like whatever, like you might have forgot. So yeah, it was harder than it looked, but it looked really easy, I will say.
Having hosted these events before, we saw a lot of people compare notes. Did you and Big H like compare notes during that at all?
Yeah, we were doing that the whole time, I think.
Our goal was just Zach couldn't win that week. So I remember we would just, every room we went in, it's like, this is the number we got. Because we just couldn't let Zach win.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious that nobody could figure it out though. I was really questioning everything. And so getting rid of Marlon, it does make some sense to like leave your tribe, original tribe, but then you get to Final Four and you end up voting out the person who, from the outside perspective, we would probably predict has the least chance of winning. Why vote out Hallie at Final Four? You've already dragged her through most of the merge.
I think it was a good idea to vote out Hallie because we had kind of put her through a lot by like bringing her along. And Big H, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it like didn't we all agree on that? Like it seemed once we got to didn't she like throw a competition so that she didn't win and then we could vote her out? Like I'm pretty sure that was very meticulously planned.
She was ready to go the week where Maddie went out. So Hallie, like, she wanted to get out of there. So I think it was the best move for all of us.
I thought for sure you were going to vote out Jackie once Anissa won that competition, because that was the one where you had to tie the knot, pull the plastic bag close to you with the stick, then toss a ball in a bucket, and then throw a ball at a stack of cups, and then solve a slide puzzle. And Anissa, that slide puzzle was taking you forever, and Jackie caught up to you at one point, and it looked like she was going to win it, and I thought that when she didn't, that you were going to get rid of her. Well, yeah. What was your mind? What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, at that point, I didn't really know about how close Big H and Jackie were. So to me, like in the game, it didn't really matter if it was me, Big H, and Jackie, or me, Big H, and Hallie. Like I almost thought it was kind of similar. So I didn't really think it was that risky. But watching it back, I was like, wow, that was not a good idea.
It kind of seemed like Hallie was your number, though. Like, in case Hallie won the final 3 competition, she would have taken you over Big H, at least from the outside perspective. Did that ever cross your mind of, like, who else is going to take me to the final 2 other than Big H?
Well, I just thought it was going to be me and Big H at the end. Like once it got down to the 4 of us and I won immunity, I like didn't really see any reason why it wouldn't be me and Big H in the final 2 because I didn't know how close he was with Jackie, and I didn't know that Jackie was going to fight so hard to convince him to get me out. And I didn't, even if she did, I didn't think it was going to work because if Jackie had come to me, I don't think I would have been as susceptible to it. I think I would have been like, no way, like play to the end. So it wasn't that risky for me. I thought it was like a done deal. And then when I found out it wasn't, I thought like things were all over.
Okay, Big H. This is your big decision too, because you're choosing between Jackie and Hallie. Jackie, who's your close ally, and Hallie, who's a done deal if you can get to the final 2 with her. Why did you choose to take Jackie?
I also I didn't think Jackie was such a power player in a sense when we were playing with her. Like we never knew that she was talking to Swetha or that she even switched this vote. So I honestly thought that we could beat Jackie in the end. And also like no tea, no shade to Jackie, but she really didn't win a lot of competitions. So if it got to it, like me and Anissa would have probably won. We were always either back to back winning the competitions. So I didn't think it was like she had the chance to beat me if it came to that.
From the viewer perspective, I think that was completely wrong. I think Jackie pretty much had a done deal had she gotten to that final three. And especially considering how well she played behind the scenes and how much you two didn't know about her gameplay with the other people, just like Anissa just said. I really think Jackie could have had this in the bag. Nathan?
Yeah, so Big H, you before the podcast, you were like, "Are you going to come for me?" And I was like, "Maybe." And this is what I would come for you about. I don't even. It's not even really a criticism because I have done this in my live reality games as well. Is positioning yourself. You positioned yourself to where you couldn't win in the end against either person, in my opinion. And because with Anissa was just more visible. And you were trying to convince everyone that you were working with Anissa, but they didn't see that, so it was hard to convince them of that. And Jackie, they saw her game because they were playing with her, and so I felt like you really put yourself in a corner there, where the only chance you could have won is if you took Marlon or Hallie to the end. So I'm not really coming for you. I think you played a great game, but
No, I actually agree with what you're saying. Because when it came down to between Anissa and Jackie, I kind of thought like, damn, I don't think I'm going to win in the end. So I might as well take Anissa because at least I'm not turning on my number one ally. Because if I turn on Jackie and then ended up losing, that would be horrible.
Yeah, I think it would have been tough. I think you should have turned on Anissa. I don't know that it would have changed. I don't think it would have changed anything. But I think it would have. You would have probably gotten. We should ask this, Anissa. Would you have gotten? Would you have voted for Big H if he voted you out at Final Three?
Yeah, because I wouldn't really have known that much about Jackie's game, and she was always so like relaxed and sort of like a step back a little bit from the game, like not as competitive in the competitions. Like used to like even when she almost beat me in that like the puzzle ball throwing one, like I'm sprinting like in that very small space and she was like walking. So I feel like, and Big H like was throwing the ball like as hard as he could, almost hitting the camera people. So I think like visibly, like even though she was playing such a good game behind the scenes, it wasn't that visible to me at least. So maybe Fatia would have known that better than I did, but I don't think I would have voted for Jackie in the end, even if Big H would have voted me out.
And I don't know that it would have made a difference, Big H. It does because making a big move like that, cutting your closest ally, can be a big selling point to a jury. But I think, yeah, you didn't necessarily make yourself visible enough. Do you think there's something you could have done to make yourself more visible in that final 6, final 5, final 4 time?
It definitely would have been getting out Anissa at 6. I don't think there's anything else big I could have done really. Because everything was already like, our plan was already coming, like everything was coming true, you know, like we were getting each of them out one by one. So everything, but when I realized I wasn't going to win, it was too late. You know what I mean? Like we were in too deep.
Now, the two of you didn't really realize it was going to be a final 2 until the later stages of the game when it was reiterated to you folks. So had this been a final 3 and Jackie would have been there, or did you picture somebody else being the third to your 2?
I would not have wanted it to be me, Big H, and Jackie in a final 3 because I think I caught on to Jackie really early on and knew that she was a good player. So I really wanted her out of the game much earlier than she was in it. So I would have much preferred like Hallie to stay longer or Marlon to stay longer. It would have been a tough call if Jackie was in the final 3 and it was a final 3.
I think if it was final 3, Anissa would have managed to convince me to keep Hallie instead of Jackie.
Yeah. Do we think Hallie would have gotten votes at that point?
They tried to get her out like a week, and it was so funny that it never worked. Yeah, they wouldn't have given her votes at all because they were like her being there past any of them like must have been so hard for them to deal with.
Yeah, another Hallie question. If you could bring a snack to any tribal council, what snack would it be? Big H.
I would bring a protein bar.
Anissa, how about you?
I think I would bring a smoothie. Something quiet, don't want to annoy the producers.
How about a salad? That's healthy. A little crunch from the lettuce, but that's about it.
I wouldn't want anyone to videotape me eating a salad. Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't really noticeable to me during travel that she was eating. I don't know about you, Big H, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, she did that. I didn't really remember.
I'm going to bring in this comment from Mark. Hallie getting votes, she couldn't even get voted out when she wanted to. Oh, she did get voted out eventually when she wanted to. She just had to wait a while. No, I can't wait to hear from Hallie about this game. Big H, if you could change anything from your game, what would it be?
Definitely, I would make myself a little more visible. I was always, I was scared to like how Anissa would talk at tribal, or like when Zach would say something, she would correct him and stuff. I was always scared to say something because I was like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a threat next week. But Anissa stayed calling people out, and she stayed in the game. You know what I mean? So I wish I would have been a little more vocal. I feel like I always played defense. I never really stepped out. So yeah.
Anissa, same question. If you could change anything from your game, what would it be?
I would have reached out to people from the other side more, because I never formed a relationship with Maddie or Zach or Swetha or Finn. So I feel like maybe it would have helped me if I did that, and then I would have my only person was Big H. I didn't really have a fake relationship with anyone else. Not that his was fake with Jackie or Anthony, but I didn't really have another one where if Big H were to turn on me, I really didn't have anywhere else to go. So I think maybe it would have been smart to have another person maybe on the other tribe, so that if Big H did want to turn on me, I could try and make that not happen, because if he did, I probably would have gone home.
Anissa, Hallie gave you a very, I don't know, flavorful word of description, I guess. She called you, by her own words, some big dick energy. Thoughts on that? Do you feel like that was suited?
I didn't hear the last part. What did she call me?
You just want me to repeat it again? Okay.
Yeah.
Hallie said you had some big dick energy.
I heard everything. Oh, I really didn't hear the first time you said that. I thought that episode is named after me. I was like, oh my goodness. But I think she was right. So I'm in that episode, I do think she was right. No one's ever called me that before. But now I have an episode of Survivor named after me for it. So I think she was right. Yeah, I think she was right.
Anissa, I think if you ever do watch a season of Survivor, I think you need to see season 34, the Sarah Lucina season. I feel like you played a game very similar to her. You had a similar energy to her, where you weren't necessarily outwardly animated necessarily, but you were sharp. You made big moves. You had a big presence throughout the game, even without that.
I saw in the comments people kept saying that, so I'll definitely try and watch that season.
Is there any Big Brother player that you feel like you are most like?
This is your wheelhouse, Nathan. I got nothing here.
Or Big Brother player you feel like the other person is like?
The one that's coming to my mind is Nicole.
Me, I was thinking Nicole too.
I always liked her. Some people thought she was annoying, but
Nicole Franzel.
Yeah, her. The glasses. I think she was such a fun personality, but also a really strong player. And I don't in the beginning, I don't think anyone thought she was gonna be a big player, and then she was. So I always liked watching her.
I think Anissa's kind of like Tyler because everyone kind of knew he was a threat, but no one was able to but he didn't win though, did he? I don't think he won.
No.
But he was a boss and people recognized it, but still they couldn't do anything.
Similar hair, I think too.
Yeah.
Like long and wavy. Yeah.
We got some comments. We got NJ Salman. H got that BD. And some laughter from Kirk. Jacob, Lil A Stan has arrived. So y'all got some fans. We'll just say that.
Very much so. Watching these episodes and watching the live comments when you could, or even just tuning into the comments on YouTube afterwards. Big H, what has been your reaction to the comments you've received so far? Obviously, it's been a lot of how attractive you are and so on and so forth. How does that, I don't know, hit you, I guess?
I'm actually surprised, I guess more game so wise, like that people were rooting for me in a sense that like people liked me as a player, because looking at it, like it really doesn't seem like I did much, you know what I mean? So I'm very surprised and flattered in a way that some people still liked me as a character.
Yeah, and then Anissa, same for you. Like you were running the show. Were those like inspiring to see, or did you kind of get like, wow, I didn't mean to come off so tough? What was your reaction to those?
I was worried, kind of. I love the fact that people comment because it's so fun to read them. But I was like worried kind of halfway through the season, especially like with when I was like starting to go at it with Zach and then like orchestrate some of the moves to get like people from Fatia off. I thought that people might be like, can she stop? Like I would be like fallen queen. There's so many fallen queens and kings, and I was like, oh no, like I'm the one who kind of did that. So I thought that maybe people would not like me as a winner. So, but it was fun to see that like they thought I deserved it, because I did think at one point that people might be like, no, like this is an obvious winner. But I don't think I was, and I'm glad that the jury came around, because a lot of people on the jury who voted for me to win, I didn't think were going to vote for me. So like just seeing the jury vote, I thought was surprising. So I was glad the way people reacted in the comments.
You know, I was here for your game. I thought you played so well, especially like we don't see this type of gameplay necessarily on an amateur reality game that often. A dominating type of game. Like you really owned the season. You controlled the votes. When someone tried making a big move like Zach, you shut it down so quickly, and it was just really impressive to watch. Over the course of the season, especially as your game wasn't perfect, so there was still suspense throughout. You didn't, but you really still dominated the game, and it was amazing to see, especially from like a freshman in a college survivor.
And then a lot of the comments were referring to you, similar to Sarah. A lot of Kim comments too, and Kim won that season and just really dominated that season, I thought too.
Dustyn, what did you think throughout the season?
I thought it was a super intense game. Of having watched some of these live reality games before, college survivors. This season, especially 4 at Boston, was really, everyone was on their A game, or little A game, I guess you can say these days. And it was a lot of power players, and you two worked so well behind the scenes together. And even at Final 3, Jackie didn't even realize how close you two were. And like they said in the comments too, a lot of Rob Queens, Rob Kings, huge game players. And, you know, I'm just dying for the next season now after seeing the little promo they released, which we'll comment a little bit, but I'm super excited for especially one character. As I've said before, super excited to see her come back. But season 4 has just been a blast to cover.
Yes, we'll get to that season. But first, Anissa, are you walking away with any friends from the season? And if who did you end up walking away with like lasting friendships with?
This might sound weird, but so I feel like a lot of people on Survivor, like everyone is so talented, but I feel like so many of them like aren't in Boston anymore. Like they're in LA, like a lot of them. I'm like, they're doing amazing things. So like I'm watching from a distance, but I feel like the bulk of the people that like I would have stayed friends with like don't live in Boston anymore. I feel like I'm definitely one of the only ones here. If you're in Boston, let me know. But I'm like friends with them from a distance. Like they're all so amazing. Like they have amazing jobs, amazing internships. Like everyone is so talented, and I feel like everyone like has that mutual support for each other. But yeah, I think I might be the only one that's in Boston right now.
I know this is why we have to do our podcasting so late, because most of the people are all over in LA on Nathan's side of town, over in California.
Big H, how about you? Do you keep in touch with anybody from your season?
I think it's pretty much the same what Anissa said. Like I would, if the pandemic wasn't happening right now, I would have been in Emerson, LA, last fall, and hopefully have been living there. So everyone's just out there doing their thing. But like Anissa said, we all support each other from afar. Like Anissa just got a job at Boston Globe. That's a really big deal. So we just all send love to each other.
Did you put that on your resume that you won Survivor?
I did. It says like Survivor Boston winner, and I think it's a good talking point.
Yeah. The question we ask everybody who comes through here. We'll start with Big H. Big H, would you play again? First, would you play again? And if so, how would you change up your game?
I would play again, definitely now, because we're remote. It's just a lot when you have classes and stuff, but I would definitely play again. And like I said, I would be more of an offense player. Like I would be more savage, I think. More upfront.
Here for it, yes. Anissa, would you play a live reality game again? And if so, would you do anything differently?
I would play a live reality game again. And if I don't think I would do anything differently.
God, you shouldn't. It worked the first time, right?
Unless the people knew, like if someone had like watched my season or something, and maybe I would change it up. But honestly, I don't think I would.
Maybe. Mark in the chat says, Big H's game remind me of a Amanda Kimmel type arc. I see where you're coming from, Mark. I think that makes some sense. Dustyn, you want to talk about this upcoming trailer that we saw? This hype train?
Absolutely. And thank you, Jacob, for responding back. Survivor Boston is doing a reunion special too. So everyone tuning in tonight, make sure to tune into their YouTube channel Friday, February 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Jacob, for saving me there. I was looking for like the last 5 minutes and I could not find it. So thank you. Next season, Survivor Boston goes All-Stars. I'm super excited to see the first 3 people. I'm going to have to binge the first 2 seasons that I'm a little shaky on. I did watch season 3, and of course, huge fan of Survivor season 4. Big H, what are you doing this semester? I'm just saying. I don't know what the cast is yet, but my PowerPoint person, Shelly, is in it. She was released in the intro. Shelly is one of my favorites. She's so nice, and I'm super excited to see like maybe an Excel spreadsheet this year, not a PowerPoint presentation, like Excel. Come on, Shelly, don't disappoint, please.
I am so here for All-Stars. I'm so excited for it. This is like exactly what we need in 2021 is an All-Star Survivor Boston. I don't know who's all in it, but from the people we saw already in the trailer, this season's gonna be great, and I can't wait to watch it and also watch the entirety of all the earlier seasons so I can be caught up in it. Yeah, it's going to be great. This is the first All-Star season for Survivor Boston, so we get to see what it's like for people to play again and come in this game with existing reputations.
Do we think we're going to see any runner-ups, per se, Big H?
I don't know.
This was a lead into you to like say, "Oh yeah, I'm in the season, folks."
Hey,
no, okay, silent.
He might have a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, okay. I think we got a little something out of that, Nathan. So good job. And then Anissa, you're gonna have to wait for like the winners, like season 40. Okay, when you're like a professor at the college. Okay. Shit, not silent.
Didn't know any questions. I'm not going to answer it.
So much suspense. Will we see Little A back in Survivor Boston All Stars?
I do remember these.
Okay.
Okay, you're not our theater majors here, so no no improv. Okay, got it.
Oh gosh.
But Big H, before we go, any last parting words about your experience of what you took out of this, or just final pitch?
I think this is like nothing I've ever done before. I talked to everyone about this. I think like a lot of colleges don't do this, so a lot of people from Florida are like, "What is this?" But I had such a great experience. It's cool because I can watch it now forever. It's on YouTube, and yeah, I met a lot of great people.
Anissa?
Yeah, similar things. It was so fun to be on it and tell people at school that you were on it, or tell people back home that you were on this Survivor show that's only on YouTube. And it, like so many people watched it and knew me when I was in it, and like how excited I was about it. And even people I didn't know when I was a freshman that I know now, like know about it and are watching it. So I just recommend that other people try out for it, even if they're freshmen. Or if they're nervous, like it's so much fun. And I think it's just a gem for all of us right now to watch it. At least it has been for me every Thursday. Like I genuinely enjoyed watching it and got so excited. So I'm so sad that it's over, but I'm looking forward to more episodes to watch in the future.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on this and for us covering this. Jacob, Charlie, thank you for all the hard work you've put in arranging the guests. Can't wait for probably next week. Maybe we'll sit down with Jackie, Marlon, and Hallie too. I'm off. Nathan, final thoughts?
Yeah, this season has been amazing. Y'all ran this season, so congratulations to you both. You should be so proud of your games. Both of you. I mean, really, it's a testament to make it to the end of one of these and to play really well and to get yourself there. And you both had a lot of agency in doing that. So that's something to hold your head up high for. Yeah, y'all killed it. The season was so much fun. It was the characters, the players on it were awesome. And every episode brought it. The number of blindsides on this season was insane, and it really made it an awesome season to watch.
Mm-hmm. And during the time period when we're waiting for season 5 to come out, we are currently covering Survivor LU, Liberty University. So that's something to check out. Or you can tune into a more rustic version, more traditional Survivor in Surviving Maine. Episode 2 comes out this Wednesday, so just tomorrow. And that's all I have to say, Nathan.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for watching, listening, and we can't wait to come to be back again with some more eliminated players from this season. And as always, follow us and see you next time. Have a good night, y'all.
Thank you, guys.